coaches, officials, and fans. Fan ridicule of the opposition is strictly prohibited. Degrading remarks will not be tolerated. Be proud, be loud, and be positive. Thank you. At this time, we ask that all fans please rise and kindly remove your caps as we honor America and those who protect our freedom at home and abroad with the playing of our national anthem.
From George Finnie Stadium in Berea, Ohio, welcome inside our coverage of the Ohio Athletic Conference Men's Lacrosse Championship Tournament. Tonight, a semifinal matchup between two crosstown rivals who played for the title a year ago. It's your Baldwin Wallace Yellow Jackets and the three-time defending OAC tournament champion, John Carroll Blue Streaks. Welcome inside our coverage, everybody. I'm Brendan Gulick. Glad to have you on board for what promises to be a good game tonight. A Yellow Jacket team that is red hot. They won 5 in a row to start the year, dropped back-to-back games against Brockport and Capital, who won the regular season championship. And then the Yellow Jackets won 9 in a row to close the regular season, including some pretty lopsided victories where Baldwin Wallace has put up some of the best numbers across the entire country. They've been led by Blake Bauer, Chad Steinwalks, and Ben Kubiak all year. Chad Steinwalks with 112 points on the season. Individually, most in the country, 7 points per game. Nobody else in Division III lacrosse has had more points per game than Chad Steinwalks here this year. On the John Carroll side, you're talking about a team that has just had a hard time getting healthy and staying healthy until now. And once they got healthy, the last week and a half, this team has looked really dangerous. Most impressively, closing the regular season with an 18-10 win over Ohio Northern. And we already know the winner of this game is going to play the Ohio Northern Polar Bears at their respective field. Ohio Northern last night with an upset win over the Capital Crusaders, who went unbeaten in OAC competition this year and won the regular season title. Ohio Northern has qualified for the OAC championship game, and so they will await the winner of this one. I mentioned Ohio Northern didn't play particularly well against John Carroll last week. The Ohio Northern Baldwin Wallace game was a thrilling contest, 16-14, the final in favor of Baldwin Wallace. All right, starting lineups tonight for John Carroll. At attack, a junior, Bennett Gorman. At attack, a sophomore, Kevin Hack. Charlie Shaver is a freshman defender. Skylar Blake, junior attacker from the greater Columbus area. Jacob Betts is the senior goalkeeper, and he's done a nice job for John Carroll this year. He is 10-6 as the starter on the season, having started every game, and his backup, J.P. Chinelli, has played in about half the games. Patrick O'Grady, he is a terrific player for John Carroll, a sophomore attacker, someone definitely to keep your eye on. 17 goals on the season and 10 assists. Of course, Skylar Blake, the leading goal scorer for the Blue Streaks, 57 goals, 31 assists on the season. It's been a pretty good year for Skylar. Brendan Whitty's a sophomore attacker. Colin Corcoran, a junior midi. Robbie Robinson, a freshman defender. And Aiden Hubble is a senior defender. For Baldwin Wallace, their starting lineup includes senior attacker Blake Bauer. Nick Nanoski is sophomore midfielder, and his brother Mike, who is a senior attacker. Matt Rodenhouse starts on defense. Ben Kubiak, Brian Janzinski, Thomas Mesh, Chad Steinwalks, Clay Kolke, and in goal, Trent Davis. We are ready for the opening faceoff in a brutal weather day. Let's be honest. The weather in Northeast Ohio all day today was warmer than normal. Right now, it flat out stinks. It's pouring rain, and we are expecting potential thunderstorms later tonight. John Carroll wins the opening faceoff, and off we go. Winner of this one plays for an OAC championship. This is a game John Carroll's been awfully familiar with. In fact, the last 3 meetings, these two teams have played in University Heights each time. Last 2 regular seasons, and then, of course, last year in the OAC Tournament Championship. But this year they meet here in Berea. John Carroll in the Navy tops, gold helmets. Baldwin Wallace in white on white. About half the shot clock has expired. Streaks trying to be patient on the offensive end. Gorman, near side. Whitty with a little shimmy, shoots it too tall. And it stays with John Carroll. Actually, beg your pardon, they're overturning that and saying it goes back to BW. So the Yellow Jackets will have their first offensive opportunity of the night. Baldwin Wallace as a team this year, 4th in the country offensively. There are 245 teams in Division III lacrosse, and BW is 4th with 18.5 goals per game. John Carroll offensively has also had a darn good year, closing in on 16 goals per game. 2 of the better scoring teams in the region for sure. Kubiak tries to get the Jackets on the board first, but a great defensive stop by Jacob Betts. So he saves the first shot that comes his way. Trent Davis for BW, a sophomore. And Davis has been one of several goalkeepers this season. He has started roughly half the games, but hasn't lost. He's 9-0 since he took over. Steinwalks on the far side for BW. One of many seniors on the field that could be playing in his last game tonight. The losing team certainly will be in a bind. Given John Carroll's record at 10-6, I think they know that if they don't win the OAC tournament this year, they're not going to qualify for the NCAAs. BW might have an outside chance at an at-large berth if they don't win the tournament, but losing in the semifinals would certainly hurt those chances. Steinwalks holding near side, working against Sully Dansbury, a freshman from Michigan. Rain has lightened up a little bit here. Last few minutes before the game started, it was miserable outside. Pretty good chase by John Carroll's sophomore defender, Clayton Karam, but apparently didn't get there quite quickly enough. 15 seconds to shoot. Nanoski can't bounce it home. 6 seconds to shoot. Stays with BW. Clock rolling. Nick Nanoski turns and just throws it into the corner. Good defensive stand by John Carroll. Obviously, Skylar Blake has been the focal point of the offense this year. Brendan Whitty has also played really well, but he's missed a couple of games with injuries. That's sort of been John Carroll's bugaboo all season. They graduated a lot of their talent from a year ago when they won the OAC championship against BW back last May. Well, it goes to BW. No score, about 4 minutes into the game. Both teams have had a few chances, but neither team has put a particularly threatening shot on net yet. By the way, the Yellow Jacket women are also competing tonight in the OAC semifinals. They're down at Capitol playing against the Crusaders. We'll keep you updated from that one. Early in the game, BW has a 2-1 lead over Capitol, but again, still very early on down in the greater Columbus area. Bauer shoots it wide. Kubiak closest to it. These two teams played the last time around. BW jumped out to a huge lead. We're up by 7 goals in the first half. John Carroll kind of sleptwalked through some things. This ground ball nicely picked up by Dansbury. But the Blue Streaks came back from the dead, made it a tight game, never took the lead, but came back within 1. Good job by Davis sticking with it. I imagine that John Carroll's not going to have any problem coming on the road here and being ready to go. Kubiak with the low shot. That's one of his favorites. Nice job by Betts diving toward it, and he wins it back for JCU. Trey Keeley in his second season at Baldwin Wallace, and he had the team on the cusp of an OAC championship last year. This team has just flat out thrived under Trey and his assistants Tony Tatro and Rory Jeffers. On the other side, you've got a terrific coach in Joe Rautenstraut, 3rd season at JCU, and he's taken the team to a couple of OAC championships in his first 2 years, 26-10, and they lost just 1 game in conference in those first 2 seasons. Shot a little high and wide left from Colin Corcoran, young man from Minnesota. 9 minutes left first quarter, no score. Good hold, good shot. John Carroll on the board. Skylar Blake, 58th goal of the year. And the Blue Streaks strike first tonight. No surprise to see Skylar immediately make an impact. 8:52 left in the first quarter, 1-0 John Carroll. Tonight's Yellow Jacket game brought to you by Dan Andrews and Olympic Forest Products. They're a global recycling company. By Domino's Pizza in Berea. You can call them at 440-891-0030 or go online, domino's.com. And by the Ohio Education Credit Union. Gain the advantage and build your future today. Yellow Jackets win the faceoff, but a pass toward Kubiak, little bit off target from Alexander Bishop. Bishop, faceoff get off, and he's replaced quickly. Let's see if John Carroll can take some early momentum here on the road. Oh, late, nice play by the long stick, Jake Moston. And then BW with a mental mistake in the middle of the field. Wow. You know, the Yellow Jackets got away with one there. Cole McClary put his hand over the net. And John Carroll fans not happy. See if BW can capitalize on it. This is Mesh. Shoots left-handed. Nice high save from Jacob Betts. But a failed clearance attempt. Steinwalks across the face. Kubiak. Great pass. Better finish. Blake Bauer strikes. 1-1 tie, middle of the first. Bauer with his team-leading 51st goal of the season. And Ben Kubiak picks up assist number 20. Well, mistakes get magnified in tournament games. And the Yellow Jackets do a nice job of capitalizing on an early game mistake from John Carroll. So we're tied at 1. Meanwhile, the ladies' game Yellow Jackets and Crusaders tied at 2 in the first quarter, or I should say in the first half. Second face-off win for JCU. I would imagine Ohio Northern fans are probably keeping a close eye on this game, whether or not they're actually watching or just following along with some of the live stats. They are anxiously awaiting the chance for redemption against one of these two schools, having lost on the road here in Berea and having lost in University Heights just this past weekend. That St. Lawrence got a good team. Alex Pizarro's been so good this year for Ohio Northern. We'll see what the Polar Bears can do in the championship game on Saturday. It should be a 7 o'clock game Saturday night. Meanwhile, John Carroll with a restart. 7:01 left first quarter. Tied at 1. Nice little shimmy. And Trent Davis traps it on the ground, had it jarred free. Picked up for just the quickest of split seconds by Janzinski. And now Bryan's got it near side. Flag is waving in the breeze. It's actually lightened up quite a bit outside. That was kind of bizarre. It looked like John Carroll might have been content with letting that one roll out of play. And then Steinwalks gave it some chase. BW picks up the ground ball midfield. Well, both teams a little sloppy here in this first quarter. Seen several passes that haven't found their targets. So far in a 1-1 tie, BW 8 shots, 3 on goal. 4 saves by Jacob Betts. John Carroll 7 shots, 5 on goal. 4 stops for Trent Davis. Blake Bauer and Skylar Blake have the 2 goals in this first quarter. 5:53 left in the opening frame. So John Carroll ready to go. Corcoran dumps this one down. O'Grady and Whitty work behind. And now Blake far side. Corcoran sizing up James Brown. Trying to go to his left. Dumps it off. Not handled well by Hack. And the Yellow Jackets take it over. Austin Rootsong helps clear it away. And Chad Steinwalks holds for a second, then passes it away. Boy, uncharacteristic mistakes from BW in particular here in this first quarter. I don't think I would say that either team looks like they're playing nervous. I think both teams are pretty amped up. You get a chance to play a playoff game against your rival. And oh, by the way, these were the 2 teams that played for an OAC championship last year, so plenty of history there. John Carroll, the OAC tournament champions each of the last 3 years. And even though it may not have been the best regular season for them, until someone knocks them off, they're still king of the castle. Yellow Jackets like their chances this year, but need to prove it in the tournament after having beaten them in a close game in the regular season. 13-10, the final back on April 3rd. Bounce shot goes in. Kevin Hack, the sophomore from St. Francis de Sales. And it's 2-1 JCU with 4:11 left in the first. Hack with his 31st goal of the season. It's also had kind of a weird rhythm and flow to the beginning of this game because neither team has dominated things either way. In fact, both teams have probably felt like they've given some opportunities away. Jackets and Blue Streaks with each having 6 turnovers early on. Nice job by John Carroll moving it up the field quickly. That was Cam Ciceri. Ian Flynn and Cam Gerard working in tandem. O'Grady near side. Back to Flynn. Gerard passes far side to Josh Plar. Another bounce shot and another one past Davis. 3-1 John Carroll in the first quarter. Cam Gerard, young man from Avon Lake and from St. Ignatius High School, scores his 18th goal of the year. Tell you what, there are a lot of guys on this John Carroll team that come from some recognizable high schools, not just in Ohio, but in some surrounding states. Got several guys that went locally to St. Ignatius. Nick Pompella, a junior midfielder, went to St. Xavier down in Cincinnati. Cole Jaskowitz from Walsh Jesuit. Clayton Curran went to Canisius High School up in Buffalo. Lots of the Jesuit and private, and in many cases, all boys high schools. Cullen Zarek from Brother Rice, which is up in Michigan. Those schools are known across the board athletically for producing some pretty impressive high school players. And John Carroll's got some talented guys on this team for sure. They've got a 3-1 lead early on. BW did not lead early. They tied the game at 1, but have given up the last 2 goals and almost a third straight. 2:33 left in the first quarter. Yeah, and of the 12 turnovers so far, only 4 have been caused. Means there's been 8 self-inflicted mistakes. John Carroll strikes again. Wow, great move by Bennett Gorman. And the Blue Streaks look good early. 4-1 John Carroll, 2 and change left in the first. So we go back to the face-off X. JCU win 5 in a row to close out the regular season after losing to BW and Capital and Otterbein, actually. They'd lost 3 straight after starting the conference with a win over Muskie. They won at Mount Union, at Wilmington, shut out Marietta 24-0. Blitzed Heidelberg, and then an impressive win over a very good Ohio Northern team. JCU starting to dominate some possession here, and they look a little more comfortable. Of course, last year's John Carroll squad made it to the NCAA tournament by beating the Yellow Jackets 19-9. In that OAC championship game, but bowed out in the first round of the NCAA. Lost to Elizabethtown College. That was a game played in Gettysburg. 9-6, the final there. JCU with 25 to shoot. Working hard to find an open lane. Flynn goes back up top. Inside 20 seconds, and now things pick up a little bit. Couple of head fakes. Blake scored 1 already. Janzinski all over him, forces him to drop it. Long pass, and then the shot, little off target from Josh Plar. And with just 3 seconds left, JCU just dumps it in the corner. You know, even though these have been 2 of the premier schools in the conference in the last several years in the OAC, last year was the first time that they had met for an OAC championship game. Yellow Jackets have had to go through some other foes along the way. John Carroll and Capital have dominated a lot of the headlines in OAC men's lacrosse the last few years. But certainly these 2 teams deserve to be back in the OAC tournament. And John Carroll with a 4-1 lead. Waning seconds of the quarter. That one rattled off the left post right as the clock struck zeros. No goal after a great shot by Brendan Whitty. BW dodges a bullet. They trail 4-1 to the visiting John Carroll Blue Streaks. Second quarter when we come back on BWYellowJackets.com.
Tonight's men's lacrosse game is being streamed live with play-by-play by Brendan Gould at the BW Athletics website at BWYellowJackets.com. All home men's lacrosse broadcasts can be viewed on the BW Athletics website. Congratulations to sophomore shortstop Alex Ludwig of Brunswick. First time in his career. Last week, Alex batted .478 with 11 hits, 1 double, 1 triple, and 7 RBIs while scoring 6 runs of his own. Congrats, Alex. Congrats also goes out to senior 3-time All-OAC right fielder Alexis Boldovich of Roker Park for being named the OAC Hitter of the Week. Alexis led BW to 3 victories last week, which wrapped up the number 3 seed in the conference tournament. She batted .667 with 8 hits, 2 doubles, 5 RBIs, 2 runs scored, and 2 walks. Congratulations, Alexis.
Start of the second quarter in Berea. John Carroll 4, Baldwin Wallace 1. If you tune in a little bit late, I'm Brendan Gulick. We got a false start on BW on the face-off, and so JCU, who started to settle in that late half of the first quarter, they start the second quarter with possession. So far, John Carroll 4 goals, 14 shots, 9 on goal. They've won 6 of the 7 face-offs, and they've won the last 6 face-offs in a row. BW, 1 goal on 8 shots, 3 of which were on target. Trent Davis has made 5 saves, but the Yellow Jackets have turned it over 7 times, 6 of which were their own undoing. Chance for John Carroll, near side. The bounce shot beats Davis. Kevin Hack strikes again, his second. And John Carroll with 4 consecutive now leads 5-1. Patrick O'Grady gets the assist. This has been pretty par for the course for John Carroll offensively, but it has not been a typical BW offensive game. For a team that is scoring on average 18 goals per game, But let's try to dive in a little bit deeper in that, because some of those totals have escalated because of some teams that have really struggled. For example, the Jackets scored 25 goals against Heidelberg, 28 against Muskingum, 30 against Marietta, and 34 goals against Wilmington in a record day for BW. Against some of the more competitive teams on their schedule, they've been much more held in check. Let's put it that way. And it's not that the Yellow Jackets haven't fared well. They've been fine. But 12 goals against Capital, only 9 in that loss to Brockport. 13 against Geneseo. Scored 17 in each of their last 2 against Union and Otterbein. It's been a little bit more tough sledding. Another self-inflicted mistake, in the body language on the BW sideline not particularly positive right now. They got to figure out a way to stop the bleeding. Referee stops play. I think another ball had found its way onto the field. Here come the Blue Streaks. Think about all the guys on this John Carroll team a year ago that lost to graduation. And not just contributors, but in many cases starters for an OAC championship team, as Trent Davis comes up with that bounce. For this JCU team to have to totally retool and rebuild this year and fight through lots of those injuries is a tough thing to do. But when you've won 3 tournaments in a row, everybody's gunning for you every time you're on the field. You can't really avoid having that target on your back. Nick Pompilia, Corcoran, Whitty, Collins, Gorman, Danbury. They all missed at least 2 games this season. There's a BW goal. Blake Bauer puts one home. Jackets trailing 5-2 with 12 minutes left in the first half. And the assist belongs to Tom Mesh. It's funny just to look up and down the John Carroll roster and realize how many of their really important playmakers have missed some time. But if you're a John Carroll fan, the good news is they've gotten healthy, at least largely healthy. I don't think anybody's playing at 100% on any team this time of year. There's a difference between playing hurt and playing injured. Just about everybody's playing hurt. Rain has begun to fall lightly again in Berea. And the wind really picking up, blowing right to left across your screen the way you're watching. John Carroll 5, Baldwin Wallace 2, early second quarter. JCU had scored 4 goals in a row over about a 5-minute stretch between the first and second quarters. And a turnover on a pass inside. Another giveaway, the 8th that Baldwin Wallace has done without John Carroll causing the turnover. Rain falling heavier now. The shot pulled in pretty easily by Davis. Yeah, the low point in the year for John Carroll was when they were 1, not healthy, and 2, they'd lost 4 out of 5 out of conference to Ohio Wesleyan, and then in league play to Otterbein, BW, and Capital. But they really have gutted out some wins and gotten healthy along the way, and all of a sudden John Carroll is peaking again here in the very tail end of the season. How about the velocity behind that shot? Nanoski didn't really hold anything back, but that also wasn't on frame. Not all that threatening for Jacob Betts. Stein walks, good pass. Great finish for Bauer. Blake Bauer's got a hat trick here in the first half. Bauer goes right through Betts' legs, and it's 5-3 with 10-12 to go.
Face-off number 32, number Schneeberger, and number 88, Sandy Bishop.
Rain really coming down now here at Finnie Stadium. Winner plays for an OAC title on their home field Saturday night, because fourth-seeded Ohio Northern upset the top seed Capital yesterday in that semifinal. JCU comes away with another one, Clayton Karam. And a timeout called for by John Carroll. 9:59 left in the first half. We'll step aside two. It's 5-3 Blue Streaks on BWYellowJackets.com.
The defending OAC champion baseball team will finish off the regular season by hosting crosstown rival John Carroll University for an OAC doubleheader on Friday, May 3rd on Fisher Field. First pitch will be at 1 p.m., while the second game will follow at approximately 4 p.m. With 8 minutes left in the first half, the third-seeded women's lacrosse team is currently trailing Capital 8-3. That game began at 7 p.m. inside the Byrne Lower Stadium.
Coverage of tonight's OAC semifinal brought to you by the Oswald Companies. They'll handle all of your insurance and risk management needs. By Medical Mutual of Ohio, the official healthcare provider of Baldwin Wallace University. And by the Comfort Inn in Middleburg Heights, where your comfort's just a part of the service we provide our guests. 9 minutes, 37 seconds left in the first half. And the three-time defending tournament champion, John Carroll, on the road, looking for some redemption against a BW team that beat them over in University Heights about a month ago. JCU has a 5-3 lead. They almost added to it. Good stop by Davis, who's had an up-and-down first half. That's his 8th save, but he's allowed 5 goals. BW has scored back-to-back, and they haven't given up a goal now in more than 5 minutes. See if they can build on the momentum here of a successful clear. That one quickly goes back the other way. No momentum generated that time. 10 turnovers for BW. And only 2 of them have been caused. By the way, the rain is going to be a factor the rest of the night. Great move by Gorman. It's not supposed to stop raining here in Northeast Ohio until about 2 o'clock in the morning, so how hard it rains and whether or not there's lightning is a different story. At the moment, teams are playing through it, and it has certainly rained harder than it is now, but it is a steady drizzle. John Carroll's program, they've been through a lot. I mentioned this is the third season for head coach Joe Rautenstrauch. And when they were launching their program, they had basically gone one and done with several coaches. This one gets flung toward midfield, kept in play, and then knocked out. And it goes back to JCU. BW probably got away with one there. Stein walks out of frustration, almost flung that ball away, and probably should have gotten called for a delay. Anyways, John Carroll had to deal with basically 3 coaches in 3 years. And that's challenging when you're trying to recruit and build a program and convince kids to buy in. It might be a little bit easier at the Division III level when you're recruiting much more heavily based on academics and what the young men in this case want to do with their futures. But that's a lot to learn and a lot to soak in. You better be real cohesive with your teammates. And I think you got to give Joe Rautenstrauch, Mike Perino, Peter Plasky a ton of credit for the way they took a team that had been through a lot despite their success and have continued to build on that success. Pretty impressive. 6:52 left in the first half. Near side, a chance for Girard. He rattles one off the bar. Cam Girard's already got one. And for the second time tonight, John Carroll hit some pipe. As the first quarter clock expired, they hit the left post. That one hit the crossbar. Less than 6.5 minutes left in the first half. Here's Kubiak. One of the guys that BW will heavily lean on next year. His shot wide of its target. 5-3 John Carroll. BW with the ball, 6:10 to play, and they've got just under a minute to shoot. Anyways, a big senior class that will be leaving for BW. Most notably, Blake Bauer and Chad Steinwalks as the Jackets give away another one. This is amazing. We just haven't seen this all year. It's 12 first half turnovers, and only 2 of them caused. Betts trying to run away from Steinwalks. Net's totally open at the moment. Kubiak trying to pick it up. Betts still well out of goal. Nice job by Ian Flynn. Those are the kinds of things you have to do as a team defensively when your keeper takes a chance. And even though John Carroll gambled, it did not bite them. So the Blue Streaks have it. Skylar Blake goes up top with it. Whereas BW has an awful lot of production in their senior class. This is a John Carroll team that is going to lose just a couple of seniors. Jacob Betts, Patrick O'Grady, Aiden Hubble, all starters that are potentially playing in their last games tonight. And then Ciro Grandine, who doesn't see quite as much time, a young man from Mentor. He was the other senior in this class for JCU. They graduated a ton of talent last year. But I think you could objectively say that BW is losing more production this year to graduation. By the way, BW's graduation's coming up this weekend. I'd love to have a graduation and an OAC championship to celebrate this weekend. BW last to touch that one out of play. Blake Bauer, Mike Nanoski, both big parts of the offensive attack. They're playing as seniors. And we get another whistle blown here as the referees converge in the middle of the field. Let's see what this is all about. I think it had something to do with Tom Mesh. You could hear somebody say 35 coming from the field. But whatever the cause for concern was, it appears to be all right. Of course, Nate Karatis, Brian Janzinski, Jacob Swank, Jake Moston, Tom Mesh, McClary, Oberst, Naparalski, Steinwalks, all seniors for BW. 3 to shoot for JCU. And it goes back to BW. 3:25 left in the first half of the OAC semifinals. If you tuned in late, I'm Brendan Gulick. These two teams played for an OAC title last year. This year they meet a round earlier. 5-3, John Carroll out front. 2 goals for Kevin Hack. Bennett Gorman, Skylar Blake, Cam Gerard have all scored. Blake Bauer has all 3 for Baldwin Wallace. And Chad Steinwalks, who usually makes a lot of noise offensively, at 7 points per game to lead all players in the country. He's got 1 assist and 2 turnovers in this game, and he's been pretty frustrated on that end of the field. He's only taken 1 shot. And yet the Jackets only down 2 with a goal here. They could come within 1. Good try from Kubiak, just missed wide left. Shot clock at 31, 2:35 to play. Of course, could be the last time the Nanoski brothers played together. That was Nick that misfired. Nick will be an upperclassman next year as a junior. Mike Nanoski. Boy, terrific defense from Aiden Hubble. It works its way back toward Bauer. I don't know if that hit the post or Betts' leg, but either way, great defense. 2 minutes to go. Steinwalks flings it across the middle, and Betts intercepts it. He's had a great first half. BW sideline unhappy with one of the officials. I'm not sure what they're not happy about, but players and coaches alike pretty aggravated. Timeout JCU with 1:42 left in the first half. It's 5-3, John Carroll out front on BWYellowJackets.com.
Next in action, when they host the Harrison Dilliard Twilight Meet on Friday, May 10th, inside George Finnie Stadium, beginning at 12 p.m. Attention fans! A copy of tonight's game program can be found in the mailbox located on the south side of the press box.
BW fans trying to stay positive on the near side with their team down 2, 5-3, with 1:42 left in the first half. Baldwin Wallace, having won 9 games in a row and having beaten John Carroll in the regular season, happy to welcome them finally to Finnie Stadium for the first time in a while. But the Blue Streaks have really looked good. And frankly, Baldwin Wallace, while they've done some good things, it's been pretty sloppy 13 turnovers, only 3 of them caused. That's going to frustrate the Yellow Jackets when they look back at the numbers at halftime. 35 on the shot clock. We've got 1:08 left before halftime. This is Gorman taking the shot wide right. Davis covered up that post nicely. Stays the blue and gold. .20 to shoot. Streaks over the top. Corcoran, left-handed shot, just wide right. 10 on the shot clock. Brendan Whitty swirls around and sticks it in the top of the cage. 6-3, John Carroll. And the young man from Kensington, Maryland, puts JCU up by 3 with a goal very late here in this first half. Only John Carroll's second goal of the second quarter. The first one came at the 14:09 mark. We've got 37 seconds left in the half here. Rain intensifying. John Carroll's also dominated the faceoffs, 7-3, although BW has won the last 2. Bishop needs one here, and he got it. Dumps it off to Kubiak. Back up top, low pass to Mesh. It at least cost BW some time, although they keep possession. Kubiak with a low shot, but before it came, timeout called by head coach Trey Keeley. 19.5 left in the first half. John Carroll 6, Baldwin Wallace 3 on BWYellowJackets.com.
The third-seeded softball team begins a double elimination 2019 OAC tournament on Friday, May 3rd, against second-seeded Ohio Northern University at 10 a.m. in New Concord on the campus of Muskego University.
All right, 19.5 left in half number 1. John Carroll 6, BW 3. By the way, in the ladies' game, Jackets are trailing Capital 8-5. That game just got to halftime. BW has the ball. They're going to try to take one back here after surrendering a nice goal to Brendan Whitty. Drew up the play. Kubiak tried to fire it over his shoulder, but it didn't work out. Clock's at 9.5. And counting. Kubiak, left-handed shot missed. It stays with BW 3.2. Nick Nanoski passes toward the middle. Betts got his stick on it. The horn comes out. One of the referees looked like he might grab for a flag, but the horn sounded, and they decided not to call a penalty on either team. A little bit of jawing from Tom Mesh of BW and Nick Pompilia of John Carroll. All right, end of the first half in the OAC semifinals. 3-time defending champions John Carroll on the road, but they've got a 6-3 lead in Berea. We'll come back in about 10 minutes with your second half live on BWYellowJackets.com. Well, it's just about time to start the second half of the OAC semifinals between Baldwin Wallace and the three-time defending champion John Carroll Blue Streaks. JCU with a 6-3 lead. The Yellow Jackets had kind of a sloppy first half. Blake Bauer scored 3 goals on 5 shots, but outside of that, I don't know if I'd say anybody played particularly well. Jackets have had their chances, but a lot of giveaways. 13 total turnovers, and only 3 of them have been caused turnovers. Jackets in white, Blue Streaks in their navy with the gold helmets. The winner plays at home on Saturday against Ohio Northern for the OAC championship. JCU's had a tough year, coming together at the right time. The Yellow Jackets, one of the hottest teams in the league. They've won 9 in a row. But this is a game that BW really wants to have. Second half underway, Jackets on offense. They struggled in the faceoff, having won less than half. Far side of the field. With the rain pouring down here now. They played in rain on and off in that first half, but it is just dumping on Berea right now. No lightning, so they'll play through this. Steinwalks gives up top. Tom Mesh tried to spin back to the middle, but good defense. Tommy shoots anyways right at Jacob Betts. Betts has faced a lot of shots, but it hasn't had to make too many saves because most of the shots haven't been on target. Only 7 of the 19 have officially been registered as shots on goal. 3 have gone in, and then 4 saves for Jacob Betts. But the Jackets take it back on an early turnover. 13:40 here in the third quarter. Steinwalks on the far side. Can only imagine what that locker room was like at the half with Trey Keeley and his staff trying to inspire his guys to play a little bit more focused and maybe a little bit less emotional. Bauer tried to roll one in, didn't go, picked up in front by Kubiak, and he puts it in. What a goal! Ben Kubiak came gliding through the crease after the ricochet bounced away from Jacob Betts, scooped it up, and like a gazelle, jumped in the air, flung his stick up in the sky, and slammed it down in the back of the cage. So it's 6-4, and BW draws first blood here in the second half. We're less than 2 minutes in. Baldwin Wallace has won 4 face-offs in a row, but they give this one away. Boy, John Carroll wants to go quickly, and they sure do. Evan Schneeberger, the freshman face-off specialist, right to the goal, his 4th of the year, and they take it back. Timeout, BW. 2 minutes into the third quarter, we've already got a goal apiece on BWYellowJackets.com.
John Carroll.
right, play resumes with John Carroll on the offensive end. And I think during that timeout, I was able to gather that John Carroll had apparently called a timeout before they scored that goal. So JCU has it with a 6-4 lead, but the goal that Evan Schneeberger put in never counted. So we'll see what the Blue Streaks do. Frankly, I think BW catches a little bit of a break there. Ooh, that could not have felt good. James Brown on the wrong end of that shot. And then John Carroll puts it in, and I think Brown might be hurt. Didn't catch where that one got him, but that was tough to be on the end of that. Meanwhile, Skylar Blake scores his second of the game. John Carroll's pretty much controlled this game from wire to wire. And now they lead 7-4 with 12:19 left in the third quarter. Now, again, when you get to the tournament, realize the seeding is what it is. But you kind of throw it out the window, don't you? You just got to get there. And for John Carroll, that's been the mantra lately. They started conference play 1-3, but then won their next 5 in a row to clinch a spot in the OAC tournament. And having won the conference championship each of the last 3 years, they're content to go on the road and try to four-peat. On BW's side, this has been something that's eluded them. Obviously, last year, OAC runner-up for the first time ever after a couple of semifinal losses in prior seasons. Kubiak shot too tall. Stays with BW, although that was a nice diving effort by Clayton Karam. Still raining. Bauer shoots. Couldn't bounce it past Betts. Nice move by Pompilia. It's been a physical game, but a clean game. Neither team has had a man up, and we've got 11:18 left in this third quarter. Both sides racing to get their personnel out there offensively. And the Blue Streaks set up with O'Grady. They've got Kevin Hack in there, who's already got a couple. Hack dumps this one away to Blake, one of the top goal scorers in the country. Gorman and O'Grady up top. Now Hack far side. Gorman against Nick Nanoski. Working it around. They like that angle. Shot misfired. Good try from Skylar Blake. Patrick O'Grady in the area too. Shot clock's at 20. Brendan Whitty puts on the brakes. Rolls behind the back of the circle. Goes back to his right. Spins back to his left. Dives across the face of the goal, but not at the goal. Couldn't put it in. Only 3 seconds left to shoot. Actually, no seconds left to shoot. The referee didn't really make a very authoritative signal, but it goes back to BW as John Carroll settles into their ride here. O'Grady making things tough on Rootsong. Good job getting it across. Clay Kolke, freshman defender near side. And the clear complete. BW 12 of 16 clearing tonight. It's 7-4 JCU. Kind of a low scoring rematch. Seven John Carroll goals on 29 shots, 16 on target. Jackets 4 goals, 10 shots on goal, 23 total shots. Kubiak with an incredible dive, and he scores. You can't coach heart. Ben Kubiak, one of the grittiest kids on this team, makes an amazing play from behind the cage, receives the pass, dives straight ahead, and flicks it behind him. And a young man who's got quite the highlight reel already adds to it there. 7-5. Bauer has 3, Kubiak with 2. And Chad Steinwalks picks up his second assist in the night. 9:25 left in the third as Alexander Bishop started to come away with a faceoff, but then dropped it. Finally, Rootsong picks it up. Rain lightening up a little bit here. Passing from BW has been a little more crisp of late. That needs to continue for the Jackets. They're going to come back in this one. BW's never had the lead. Down by 2, 9 minutes left, third quarter. Mesh. Hit a couple of times, try to get a shot off. More like a guided bounce out of his stick. JCU pressured. Dansbury handles it. And whistle stops things on the far side. They're giving it back to BW. So John Carroll has struggled a little bit with the pressure tonight. I thought Dansbury was going to clear it okay. They're only 9 of 16 in their clear attempts. That's one area where BW's had the upper hand. And while they technically don't keep track of time of possession, I would think John Carroll's probably had the ball a little bit longer tonight. Although BW's tightening that up here in the third quarter. Steinwalks, shoots one off a defender. The ball rolls toward midfield. And it was shoveled back the other way, but too late. Once it crossed, that was that. And the referee stops play. Coaches and players on both benches wanted to know why play was stopped. Each for their own respective reasons. No flags were thrown, but all 3 officials congregating. Joel Bender, Tom Mueller, and Jim Shaw. Wow. It's Baldwin Wallace ball. Coaching staffs get an explanation, although Joe Rautenstraut just kind of shakes his head and says, okay. Clearly disagreed with things, but it is what it is. $7:59 left in the third. What's a little interesting here is the shot clock reset. And if BW is going to have the ball, I'm not sure that should have been the case. Well, maybe ball don't lie. BW immediately turns it over. I mean, within 7 seconds, they give it away. I try to be unbiased. I had a feeling that probably should have gone back to JCU, but either way, it's John Carroll ball at this point. Skylar Blake's got it on the far side. Both teams bring on their respective units. Rain appears to have stopped for a little bit. Jackets are still down 2 with 7 minutes left in the third quarter. A berth in Saturday's OAC championship on the line tonight. John Carroll taking their time. Back to his left. This is Blake. Takes his pass over the top. O'Grady strikes again. Rather, Colin Corcoran. Corcoran, first goal of the night. That was a beauty. John Carroll, 8. Baldwin Wallace, 5. 6.5 left in the third. Pretty much unmarked at the top of the formation and just ripped one into the upper corner. So tensions rising a little bit here in Berea. Bishop almost came away with it. Good play by Karam from the far side. The ground ball picked up by Cole McCleary. And so BW keeps possession. Bauer wanted so badly to pull the trigger, but then thought better of it and decided, well, down by 3, we might as well try and set up a play and take a better shot. Nick Nanoski darting toward the cage and then stopping. Kubiak gets a screen. He's had a couple of nice goals tonight, the second of which might have been the best goal of the game. Absorbing some contact, never decided to shoot. Inside 30 seconds now. Mesh found an opening enough, but I don't know if he just couldn't get it out of his stick or maybe it deflected off someone. It really came out pretty poorly. Back to JCU. Streaks are having trouble advancing the ball here, though. Dansbury really struggling, and then finally he beats Kubiak up the pitch. Ben Kubiak drops his stick and runs to the far side of the field. So John Carroll taking their time. Well, they finally pulled the stick off the turf near midfield, and perhaps it broke. 4:35 left in the third. Bounce shot, stopped by Davis down low. Tries to smother it inside the ring. BW comes away with it. Rootsong receives the high pass. Another successful clear. Riley Mann. 38 to shoot. BW's offense a little stagnant right now. John Carroll defending very well as a unit. Betts makes another save and then flings this one forward in the direction of Charlie Shaver. Here comes Pompilia. Rain begins to fall again, off and on all night. Actually, I think the hardest rain of the night came pregame, just moments before the game got started. It was pouring, but it lightened up a little bit. And it's raining right now about as hard as it has since then. Inside 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. John Carroll leads BW 8-5. Low scoring game tonight for both teams. JCU's 4 goals in the first quarter. Far and away the most in any period so far by either team. Gorman almost had a chance to shoot. Peels back. This is Kevin Hack. Lost control of it, but John Carroll regains possession, 7 to shoot. Couple of moves by Whitty, trying to come back near side with 2 to shoot. Flings it into the middle. The shot actually did come off, but Davis, no problem with it. In some regard, John Carroll is playing good defense, but their offense is killing so much time, even when they don't score. A 3-goal lead right now really isn't that big of a deal. It's still a tight enough game. But every time they go up the field and don't score and hold it for 80 seconds, wasting some valuable time for BW. Haven't had nearly as many possessions in this third quarter as we saw in each of the first 2. Both teams have held it longer. Mike Nanoski's shot, low and wide, stays down on this end. 1:33 and counting, 37 to shoot. Chad Steinwalks, can you believe it? He's been held to a very quiet night. That one finally goes home. All right. Chad Steinwalks, right on cue, puts one in. 3 points tonight for him. His first goal to go with 2 assists. And it's 8-6. Steinwalks has only been held at 3 points or fewer in 3 other occasions this year, one of which was a loss to Brockport, one of which was last game against Otterbein. Well, they had 1 goal and 1 assist. He also had 1 goal and 1 assist in a 30-5 win against Marietta. But of course, the 15-point, 13-assist game for him, school records, and a 28-7 win over Muskingum. Kubiak slipped and fell on the slick turf. 1 minute to go in the third. John Carroll up by 2. BW with the ball near side. The shot clock irrelevant here. Kubiak bobbled it as he went toward the cage. That one's going back to John Carroll. .35 seconds left in the third. Pompilia hands it to Whitty. 22 seconds left. JCU hoping for a late third quarter goal. It's bobbled and dropped with 12 seconds to go. Jack Steinwalks, 5 seconds. Kubiak shoots and scores! Ben Kubiak, a hat trick, 1.6. Biggest series of the game for John Carroll. That's twice the Blue Streaks have messed up a play that they had otherwise handled all game. And it comes at a costly time. BW with a major takeaway. They come right up the field, feed the hot hand, and Kubiak finishes. As the skies open in Berea, it's just a 1-goal game. Final second of the third quarter expires. OAC semifinals. John Carroll 8, Baldwin Wallace 7. Final 15 in regulation when we come back on BWYellowJackets.com.
That's the end of the third quarter with the score. John Carroll 8, Baldwin Wallace 7. The men's golf team competes in a 3-day 2019 OAC Championships Friday through Sunday 3rd through 5th, hosted by Muskino at the River Greens Golf Course in West Lafayette.
Fourth and final quarter, bound to be an emotional one. Three-time defending champion John Carroll. Tournament runner-up Baldwin Wallace. Locked in a good game. JCU 8, BW 7. Ben Kubiak scored 3 goals in the third quarter. Add in Chad Steinwalks for good measure. The Jackets with 4 of the last 6 goals in the game, and Cole McClary picks up the faceoff. Jackets have it offensively. Kubiak tried to quickly take control of the game. Betts made the save. And a measured, aggressive play. John Carroll handles it. JCU back on offense here. How will John Carroll respond? And really, the first adversity they've faced all game. It's not like they've dominated play. They haven't exactly run away with it. But this is the first time that John Carroll's really been on their heels. They've led wire to wire, never by more than 3 goals. Yellow Jackets hanging tough, and a bounced-in goal. Great shot by Gorman. And the Blue Streaks lead at 9-7.
Shot and goal, number 0, Bennett Gorman.
Well, it's a 2-goal night for Gorman. Give him an even dozen on the season. The Yellow Jackets down by 2 at 9-7. This has been one of the lower scoring games that both teams have played in all year. Of course, BW has scored at a bare minimum 9 goals in every game. Lost 12-9 to Brockport, lost 16-12 to Capital, and scored at least that many in all of their wins. It's John Carroll ball. On the JCU side, they had a really tight loss to Capital, 9-8. And of course, it was a close game. In fact, it was 8-7 BW after the Jackets led 8-1. BW ended up winning that game 13-10 back on April the 3rd. I would imagine by this point of the night, Ohio Northern's pretty locked in because they're trying to figure out where they're going. Polar Bears guaranteed to be on the road either at John Carroll or here in Berea Saturday for a chance to win an OAC championship. If they come to Berea, we'll have a guaranteed first-time champ. If John Carroll wins this game, then the Blue Streaks have a chance at a 4-peat. Davis had it trapped, lost it, and John Carroll got it back. But a foul against the Blue Streaks. Janzinski with the ball. And here come the Jackets. 12:50 left in regulation. BW has only turned it over twice in the second half, and one of those was caused after 13 first-half turnovers, and 10 were unforced errors. Both teams looking to their star players to step up when the spotlight's the biggest here in tournament time. That one's fought down and in. The Yellow Jackets back within a goal at 9-8. Blake Bauer with his 4th of the night.
Shot and goal, number 3, Nick Nanoski.
Well, they're going to give it to Nick Nanoski, although admittedly I thought it was Bauer. Bauer wears 2, Nanoski wears 3. They were both in the area. And I don't have the benefit of a replay for you, so we'll call it for Nanoski, since that's what the public address announcer has told folks here in the stadium. 12:22. You can hear the rain. It is just pouring here in Berea. Face-off goes the way of the Blue Streaks. John Carroll on the near side, Brendan Whitty. Meanwhile, in the ladies' semifinals, BW's hanging in there. They're down 14-11. 10:39 left in that semifinal down at Capitol. See if the ladies can pull one out. Of course, the John Carroll women are also playing in the semifinals, but luck is not on their side tonight. Down 18-6 at Mount Union, who's won every OAC tournament championship since the conference instituted the sport. Jackets get it back here. Down by 1. BW looking for the tying goal. They haven't been tied since it was 1-1. Kubiak dumps behind the cage. Big night for Blake Bauer. He's got 3. Bauer and Kubiak have had to step in, with Steinwalks drawing so much of the attention. Kubiak shoots across his body and he puts it in. We are tied at 9. $10:39 to play. Baldwin Wallace has scored 5 of the last 7 goals since John Carroll led 7-4. For the first time all night, it feels like BW's finally got some momentum. And what an evenly played game it's been. 35 shots apiece. Both teams have won 10 faceoffs. Neither team has had a man-up opportunity. It's coming down to the little things. Who wants to gut out a win late? Well, BW takes that faceoff. At one point, John Carroll had won 7 of the first 8 faceoffs. And I think maybe Alexander Bishop decided to take that personally because suddenly he's been really good. 10:13 to play. Steinwalks dumps to a cutting teammate. First lead of the game. It's a goal for Tom Mesh. 10-9 Jackets. Still a lot of game to go with 10:09 left on the clock. But 30 seconds after tying the game, the Yellow Jackets have their first lead of the night. Bishop wins another faceoff. Straight to the goal. He gets whacked from behind and loses it. Ball eluded Betts for a moment. Backpedaling, he just flings it forward. And the ground ball picked up by the Blue Streaks, then lost, where BW able to finally corral it in front of their own sideline. This has been such a fun rivalry, and it's not a manufactured one in lacrosse. In some regard, you wonder how true a rivalry really is, because lacrosse is fairly new in the OAC. It's still a fairly young sport in conference play. And obviously the schools are rivals because of their geography and because in a lot of ways they recruit some of the same kinds of kids. Lots of Northeast Ohio kids go to both schools. But the fact that both programs have been so good and that the games have been so competitive, I think really speaks to the fact that it is a true rivalry. Think about it on the football field. A lot of teams in the OAC use Mount Union as the measuring stick because they've won so many national championships. Jackets couldn't quite put one home there. But both BW and John Carroll have had some pretty good football teams the last few years. On the basketball court, BW, the reigning OAC tournament champions. John Carroll won it 2 years ago. It's fun to see the rivalry extend out onto the lacrosse field with, frankly, some pretty high quality play. And again, there's still a lot of game to go here. 8:20 to play, but for the first time all night, BW's out front 10-9. After a pretty quiet start, Chad Steinwalks now has a goal and 3 assists. 4 goals for Ben Kubiak, 3 for Blake Bauer, all early. In fact, since his 3, he hasn't scored again, and everybody else has done the work. The next 7 have come from Nick Nanoski, Tom Mesh, Chad Steinwalks, and of course the 4 from Kubiak. JCU on the offensive end, down a goal, plenty of time to work with. They've had a good night from a lot of different players. Gorman, Hack, and Blake all with 2 apiece. Whitty, Corcoran, and Girard each have 1, and we're tied at 10. Kevin Hack has a hat trick. Threads it just below Trent Davis's stick. And he fires one in the bottom left corner of the cage to tie it up at 10. Half the fourth quarter in the books. And that's a goal that John Carroll's going to feel good about. In one way because it came quickly, but in another way because they desperately needed it. JCU wins the faceoff. Skylar Blake has it. By the way, it's now final in Alliance in the women's semifinals. Mount Union beats John Carroll 19-6. Capital is still ahead of Baldwin Wallace 15-11 with 6 minutes to play. So Mount Union will have a chance to defend its tournament crown. And the Yellow Jacket ladies, who are 9-6, are fighting for their lives. What a game we've got here on the men's side in Berea. Ohio Northern gets the winner. This game's tied at 10. In front, a low, soft shot, and a goal. Patrick O'Grady makes it 11-10 John Carroll. So the Jackets had all the momentum. Scored 5 of 6 goals from the middle of the third quarter through the 10-minute mark of this fourth quarter. But back-to-back JCU goals by Kevin Hack and now Patrick O'Grady have re-given John Carroll the lead, 11-10. 6:40 remaining. Face-off win for Baldwin Wallace. It's Keller Fisher. Boy, no flag thrown. Fisher may have gotten away with one there. Kubiak gives to Steinwalks. Awfully windy at the moment. The rain, not a huge factor. Lightly drizzling here. All right, so the Jackets down a goal with the ball. 6 minutes to play. Mesh had a big goal to give BW the lead a little bit ago. Tried to sneak one around. Good save by Betts. Steinwalks had a fresh shot clock. Pretty darn good defense by John Carroll freshman Charlie Shaver. You got to be awfully sure of yourself to go up against a guy like Steinwalks like that. Shot too tall, but stays with the brown and gold. 55 to shoot, 5:19 to play, 11-10. John Carroll out front. Bauer wraparound try, deflected away. Not a clean save, but he kept it out. JCU just thrusts it up the field. Hard to understand that decision. BW gets it right back. I think somebody called timeout, although neither team is leaving the field. Perhaps one of the John Carroll guys was hurt, although now I look across the field and I actually see a flag down. First time we've seen a flag all game. We've got just less than 5 minutes left in regulation. Well, the foul's on BW. Wow. It's a 2-minute unreleasable slashing penalty on Mike Nanoski. That is a huge penalty on BW. Down a goal and now down a man with under 5 minutes to play. And the fact that the penalty is unreleasable makes it even worse. Especially considering it looked like John Carroll just flung the ball up the field and essentially gave up the possession. Now, I didn't see the slash, but it must have been egregious enough to draw a flag because it's the only one we've seen all night. What a game. JCU with the ball and a 1-goal lead, and I would think they would try to work as much of this clock as they can. The first time all night, you might see some conservative play until they get the look they want, and then they'll try to extend it to 2. Critical moments for the BW defense. John Carroll knows as they throw it away, JCU knows they have to get to the championship game to have a chance to keep their season going. A shot and a goal. Bennett Gorman strikes again. Gorman's had a big second half. Gave him 3 in this OAC semifinal. John Carroll leads it 12-10, and the Jackets are still down a man. The Yellow Jackets have won 9 in a row and have a 14-2 record on the season. And And if they can't win tonight, they might have an outside chance at an NCAA tournament berth as an at-large team. But you really don't want to lose this semifinal game and leave it in the hands of a committee. That's a tough way for things to go. Jackets desperately need to win this face-off. Bishop doing everything he can and finally got banged out of his stick. John Carroll right now with the game in hand. They're a man up with a 2-goal lead for still another minute. Mike Nanoski can release at 2:58, and we're at 3:48. If JCU scores again before he releases, they're going to put the Yellow Jackets in a really tough spot. And John Carroll's sideline starting to really feel it. Skylar Blake back up top. Blake gives it up. This is Whitty. Far side, another shot. That might be the dagger. Colin Corcoran. He's had 2 really impressive goals here in the second half. And it's a 13-10 John Carroll lead. Jackets change keepers here late in the game. Connor Leyline, the junior from Buffalo, comes in for Trent Davis. John Carroll 13, Baldwin Wallace 10. 4 goals in a row for JCU. The last 2, a man up. Hack, O'Grady, Gorman, and now Corcoran have all scored in a 4-minute stretch. Tough for BW. Well, McClary wins the ground ball, throws it across the field, and throws it away. Jackets are still down a man. This has been the longest 2 minutes for BW all year. And finally, they can return. So we're back at even strength, but JCU has added 2 goals with that advantage. And now they've got the ball with 2:46 to play, up by 3. A John Carroll team this year that hardly had any games at full strength until the end of the season. And frankly, they walloped Ohio Northern 18-10 in the last game of the regular season. And it looks like Ohio Northern's going to have a chance for redemption against the 3-time defending OAC champs. If John Carroll loses this game, it would be a monumental collapse. Up 3 with 2 minutes to go and the ball. Hack shoots and scores. And the exclamation point for JCU. 5 straight. Hack with 4 on the night. And John Carroll leads it 14-10. Just a sophomore, but Kevin Hack has had a fabulous OAC semifinal. Unfortunately, the night's going to end for the women on the BW side as well. They're down 16-12 with 30 seconds to play. And so the women's lacrosse season will come to an end tonight at 9-7. No shame in losing to a very good Capital team, but disappointing. Bree Martineau, 5 goals for BW tonight. And on the men's side, their fortunes don't appear to be much better. This one's going back to Baldwin Wallace. Less than 2 minutes to go, down by 4. Not impossible, but improbable at this point. Steinwalks. Over the top. Nanoski can't score. And this senior class for BW is starting to realize the reality in front of them. Yellow Jackets beat John Carroll in the regular season over in University Heights, 13-10. Jackets have it. But here in tournament time, Baldwin Wallace going to be on the wrong end tonight. Final minute and 12 seconds. Steinwalks scores. And you wonder if it might be the final goal of an illustrious career for Chad Steinwalks. They'll play lacrosse here for a long time in Berea. And Chad Steinwalk's name will live in the annals of BW athletic archived history for a long time. A great wide receiver on the football team, but frankly, a guy that's, I think, got a chance to be an All-American as a lacrosse player this year. Truly one of the great players here at the beginning of this program. Jackets down by 3, and they lose the face-off here to Cam Seary. Skylar Blake with the shot clock off. John Carroll, you got to tip your cap to them. Late in this game, they found a way to get it done. As JCU calls timeout, Tom Mesh scored with 10 minutes to play and made it 10-9 Baldwin Wallace. And JCU responded with 5 unanswered goals. Kevin Hack and Patrick O'Grady to tie and take the lead back. And then the critical flag, 2-minute unreleasable slashing penalty on Mike Nanoski. JCU scored 2 additional goals and put the game away. Kevin Hack has added 1 more. BW got 1 late goal here from Chad, but it might just be window dressing at this point. Only 43 seconds to go. JCU had to call the timeout there or else risk turning it over. But for BW, it's a feeling of delay of the inevitable. Been a great season. The Yellow Jackets have had a lot of success in these first couple years under Trey Keeley and his staff. Trey is everything that you want a Yellow Jacket coach to be. His team finished 11-5 last year, 6-2 in the league. He's a better man than he is a coach, and he's a great coach. And it's going to be tough to swallow if this is the last game of the year. Nice diving play by BW's Matt Rodenhouse to keep that one out of the cage. The Jackets will be left to hope for an at-large berth in the NCAA tournament. Final 30 seconds. And the shot goes too high. It has not been the same kind of season for John Carroll that they had the last 3 years, where they dominated OAC competition. This year was a lot bumpier for the blue and gold. And a timeout called for by BW with 16.9 on the clock. But John Carroll on the doorstep here of returning to the OAC championship game on Saturday night. And as a 3 seed, believe it or not, they'd have a chance to host that game because Ohio Northern had upset the Capital Crusaders. So BW breaks the timeout huddle. Steinwalks picks the ball up. Play resumes here, final seconds. Chad turns, and he scores again. Puts it in the top left corner. That was a pretty tough shot by Chad Steinwalks. Makes it 14-12 with exactly 10 seconds left. So Chad, 3 goals and 3 assists tonight. Certainly a good game for him, but this is not the outcome he was looking for. Clock counting down from the faceoff X. Well, McClary picks it up, and the final seconds tick off. John Carroll will have a chance for a 4th consecutive OAC championship. Great game tonight, but Baldwin Wallace, maybe in their last game of the season, they'll have to hope for an at-large berth in the NCAA. But potentially the last game of the year and potentially the last game in the careers of a remarkable senior class. Blake Bauer, Mike Nanoski, Nate Karatis, Brian Janzinski, Jacob Swank, Jake Moston, Tom Mesh, Cole McClary, Liam Oberst, Ethan Naparalski, and Chad Steinwalks. Final score tonight. John Carroll 14, Baldwin Wallace 12. And the OAC Championship will be held Saturday in University Heights, where John Carroll will host the Ohio Northern Polar Bears. In addition, because the Yellow Jacket women's lacrosse team has also finished their season tonight, there's a chance that this might be the last time we have a game to broadcast for you this year. We'll have to see how things go with the baseball and softball teams. Softball's playing in the OAC tournament down at Muskingum, and they've had a school record season where they've won 32 games already this year. And the baseball team for BW is actually playing John Carroll on Friday. This is the final weekend of regular season competition in the baseball season. But the Yellow Jacket baseball team still has a chance to win the regular season title. They're 12-4, tied with Heidelberg, and they could host the OAC baseball tournament. So we'll keep our eye on them and wish them well here in their postseason competition. Again, the final score tonight, John Carroll 14, Baldwin Wallace 12. Our coverage of the OAC semifinals tonight brought to you by the Cleveland Clinic Sports Health Division, the official healthcare provider for BW Athletics. By American International. If you require a company with proven performance, rely on American International. By the Crown Plaza in Middleburg Heights. By Integrity Berea. They'll help you find a place to call home. Go online, mybereaapartment.com. And by the Courtyard by Marriott and Town Place Suites, also in Middleburg Heights. I'm Brendan Gulick. So long from Berea. John Carroll back in the OAC championship match on Saturday against Ohio Northern. The Yellow Jackets in the OAC semifinals lose by a final of 14-12, and their record at the end of the postseason here is 14-3. John Carroll goes to 11-6 and will play for a title. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for joining us here in Berea.